Happy birthday, America.
You know Jalen Brunson's wife is Jewish?
You know, this woman called me. I don't even know her, but she's been calling everyone in the tri-state area, letting them know that yes, Jalen Brunson's wife is Jewish. Go figure. Well, Ollie, welcome to the show. It's July 4th weekend. It's America's birthday. Happy birthday, America. Throwing itself a party, as always, every year. Like, did you know it's my birthday? Yeah, come over. We'll have like we're just like doing like a little thing. It's like nothing big. It's like fireworks and whatever. This is a big birthday, quarter millennia.
It's amazing because I dare I say that America really isn't that old. Like I was at a restaurant in Spain that's older than America. It's kind of
All
crazy.
right. You know, why you got to make this about this is America's birthday. Why are you making it about other countries? That is so you to be
I
like, oh,
know.
Spain is actually a little bit. This is America's birthday. All right. We are talking about America today. How dare you, sir? How dare you?
I want to call to attention that the only red, white, and blue I have is actually a jersey from another country. This is the best I can do. The best I
Well,
can do.
I am in luck because, my daughter is very interested in the American Revolution because we showed her Hamilton, the acclaimed musical on Broadway from Lin-Manuel Miranda. And also, she has friends. She's kind of, my daughter is so cool because she'll kind of like code switch between like different groups. And she's with these really, one group that's very into history and
Hmm.
reading. And, dare I say, they're the nerds, and I love it. They're like the nerd girls, and it's awesome. Does that
Yeah.
mean? I don't know. I think it's a great thing. I'm happy about it. So
That's a good thing. I mean, what do you want her to be doing? Like out back smoking cigarettes? She's
not
like
at eight. No,
9, you know?
no. So anyway, long story short, my daughter is friends with a group of girls who are obsessed with history and the American Revolution, and one of her friends invited her over the other day for a party celebrating the deaths of Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton because I believe they both died on July 4th.
Wow.
And yeah,
Wow, the more you know. It was really interesting when you said celebrate their death. I guess it was to honor them. You know what I mean? It's almost like, yay, this person died, but it's not really it. It just came out weird. Do you
when
think?
they died on July 4th. So
Yeah. Tom Cruise was born on the 4th of July. Huh?
we will get to that. Wait, who died on July 4th? All right, not Hamilton. I'm wrong. Who died on July 4th? Let's bring up the Google machine. Famous.
Wow, this Hamilton
John
thing.
Adams. Okay, I'm sorry. Which
Hmm.
is John Adams and Hamilton hated each other. I'm so sorry, Alexander. Okay, let's take this again. Let's take this again. Let's take this again. My daughter was invited to a party at her friend's house because they're all obsessed with history and the American Revolution, and it was to celebrate the deaths of John Adams and, that's right, Ollie, Thomas Jefferson. Just a couple founding fathers who both, get this, died on July 4th, America's birthday. Fun fact. Did you know that?
Yeah, no. I had no idea.
Why
I
would
had
you
no
know
idea.
that? Why would you know that? You're American. Why would we know anything about American history? We know they wore funny wigs. We know there's some bombs bursting in air, but we don't, the American way is to not know about America. And so let's take the opportunity today to make America's birthday about us, about the dads. How about that, hey?
Yes, yes. Let's make it about us. What? It just came out. And this one's just working out so well. And outfits have a lot to do with it.
The
That's
wig.
the group. Yeah.
So, all right, it's July 4th weekend. And, it's so interesting because July 4th falls on a Saturday, which means you don't really get the day off. So, a lot of places are like, all right, so Friday will be the holiday. So I'm
Hmm.
kind of hoping that alternate site parking is suspended on July 3rd on Friday. I think it will be because it's like, they take the holiday the day before. So, that's something. But what is July 4th, Ollie? For our uninitiated viewers, listeners, the folks who are listening in, you know, Thailand or South Africa. What is July 4th? I'll give you the floor. Tell us.
July 4th is America's birthday. Big, a lot of fireworks happen. Honestly, it's a big day for basic grilling. That's there's not a lot of historical context I can give you, but I will tell you this. For some reason, it's like, wow, guys, I'm gonna go grill some hot dogs. Like that's a big deal. That's very easy to do. In fact, I think you can just make hot dogs in a frying pan. Some people boil them like they do in New York City.
I air fry them. I don't like boiled hot dogs. I'll be honest. I really don't like them.
Yeah, I think that's. Hey, I will say this: people, hot dogs. What's very interesting, and if you want to like trigger people with a food post, you show like 8 versions of a hot dog from like raw to like totally charred, and it's always fascinating because the post's idea is that, oh yeah, tell me which one you prefer, and I tend to go for the one that looks kind of like normally cooked, like an advertisement cooked, but people love them more burnt. And I
I
think
know.
what you said about air fryer is fascinating because I believe it. I bet it. I bet
I
it
like
does a
I
very good
like a
job.
burnt dog. I don't think it's very good for you. You're eating char,
It's a
but
hot dog. There's already bigger. You've already gone down the path. You
you know
know.
what? You're absolutely right. Yeah. What would my gastroenterologist say? I'm like, hey, is it okay if I have the hot dogs from the air fryer? They'd be like, stop eating hot dogs. I told you.
I
I
mean, maybe.
warned you. I warned you. That's how my gastroenterologist talks to me. She's like, I warned you about this. I told you hot dogs would be your end.
Is this inappropriate to say movies to watch for July 4th? The Patriot, starring
We'll
Mel
get
Gibson.
there. I mean, let's talk about it. You want to talk about Mel Gibson? Let's wait till we get to the movie section. I have like a whole outline. I actually prepped.
Look, I'm obviously going to be talking about food on social media and then ultimately some movie. So, and honestly, sadly, a dated movie. Like when, wait, wasn't Mel
I
Gibson?
saw The
Heath Ledger.
Patriot in theaters. I remember. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
remember
mean,
that.
I watched it way later.
Okay, I saw it
I have a
in
good
theaters
inappropriate joke for that for later.
in high school. So listen, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what July 4th is, since you gave us kind of a very American definition, which is to say not a definition. So July 4th is America's birthday when we came out of the womb of enslavement to the British. Is that a fair way to say? I'm kind of we were just paying them too
Yeah,
much.
that's wow.
And as a result, we said, you know what? We didn't like being enslaved by the British, metaphorically. And so I think we'll literally do it here. But that's not what it is. July 4th is America's birthday. And the question is, it's our 250th birthday. When we
Hmm.
said to the UK, the United Kingdom, the Brits, we said, peace out, baby. We're doing
Yeah.
our own thing. We're going out on our own. We're going, we're leaving. I mean, we kind of had already left because we were not physically there, but we were
Hmm.
like, we are not going to be tied to you. We're spinning off,
Hmm.
we're going to spin off like Comcast is spinning off from NBCU. Keep it topical.
Or
That'll
kind of like Better Call Saul. It's like, you know what? This is going to be a new AMC is now giving America a shot at its own series.
Ooh, I like that. So July 4th to you is America getting a spin-off.
Yes. Yeah. And it turned into Family Matters, arguably a more important series than Perfect Strangers.
Yeah. So how would it go? It'd
But
be like, who's that country always been the little brother to the UK?
do do do.
Coming up on their own, they're gonna say, hey, hey, we're gonna in America. We're gonna
Yeah.
have some fun. We're gonna wear some wigs. We're gonna have slavery and not let.
Yeah. I know. I mean, if you think about it, it writes itself for a good 10 season arc. And Miller Boyett was the real architects of it. It had nothing to do with George Washington. It was Miller Boyett, a Miller Boyett production.
Yeah. How do you think they decided to go Miller Boyett? Because usually you go alphabetical. You'd go Boyett Miller.
Who knows? Hey, now that's a podcast. That's a future. Forget the
Like
next
Boyett's like,
university.
hey, just curious because I thought like usually it's like B's way before N, not even like close in the alphabet. If we thought it would be Boyette Miller, and Miller's like, yeah, I mean, I just think it just sounds better, and Boyette's like totally, totally. We'll do Miller Boyette. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. It was a conversation.
It
It was a
sure was.
conversation. And maybe a conversation that happened later too.
How American is this that we cannot focus on the topic at hand, which is July 4th and America's birthday?
I mean, look, let's be fair. Maybe if we ever have, does Ken Burns have kids? Great. Great.
He
Maybe
does.
we
He
could
does.
learn.
They
Really?
they're responsible for one of them is responsible for many of the comedies you love very much. Lily
Is it?
Burns. Yeah, I believe her name's Lily Burns. She runs a little company. They've done. Let's see. What shows has Ken Burns' daughter produced?
Jesus. This episode is like prolifically gone up.
Okay, so he's got Sarah Burns, but that's not who I'm concerned about because she does like I don't know docs like him. Oh, she did one about Muhammad Ali and Leonardo da Vinci and Jackie Robinson and the Central Park Five. I'm talking about his daughter Lily Burns. All right.
Yeah. Leonardo da Vinci, I mean,
Hmm.
that just sounds like a boring one. Because,
Yes.
there's no footage,
So Lily Burns did Emily in Paris, Broad City, Search Party, Uncoupled, Russian Doll,
I never
First
saw these
Wives
to be.
Club,
Yeah.
Difficult
Yeah.
People.
I
Yeah.
mean, definitely more exciting than the Civil War. I mean, though, I'm not going to. They're okay. I mean, sure, they have their place. PBS. Anyways.
All right,
Okay,
so
so 4th of
here's my
July.
question, keeping it somewhat topical again. Topical and on topic, which is to say, America is turning 250. Do you think America will make it another 250 years?
I mean, as a landmass, why not? I mean, look, if there's one thing you can really count on is that any country has its peak as a kind of like power as an empire, and then that ultimately changes. I think what's interesting is that how does a country arguably slip into decline but still maintain by far the most powerful military and the most powerful economy, but then also not have that kind of influence. So I think we have to kind of reshape who really, you know, becomes the power broker in the next 50, 100 years. That's a pretty good answer, right? Not bad, you
Did you
know?
say 1,500 years?
Fifth
Or 50? Okay, okay. I was like 1,500, like,
in the
man.
next millennia. No, Neil. No, I think we can.
Okay. Do you think America has peaked?
You know what? I am not going to let this current era dictate the future because I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there's a singular country that would take the place of America. And, one does wonder, like, what the next, like, power player is going to really be. And I think a lot of it, when you kind of hear on various kind of like, I guess, podcasts or political analyst shows, and they talk about how China is stepping in and they step in more as a peacemaker, as a role model, as someone who can kind of work the backroom deals. If America currently is being positioned as more of an isolationist, and that seems to be the kind of idea right now that certainly propelled Trump to presidency is like, oh, I'm going to make America first, right? And the concept of nationalism is not unique to just here. There are other countries where it seems to be ebbing and flowing. Seems to no longer be the case in Hungary, but Brazil had its taste and all that. And I don't think just because those leaders are in power doesn't mean that sentiment's not there. I think there is a certain kind of global sentiment about maybe a lot of people losing their place and understanding the world as on an individual level, and they want to have, you know, patriotic love to kind of ground them. But I think that's more idea and sentiment. So, I don't know. I think it's too easy to say, yeah, it's over. It's too easy, you know? It's too easy to say it's over. I don't think there's a singular country that's going to replace America militarily. I don't think you need to. I think it's more about who's going to build a broader coalition. I think America's lost a little bit of its stature as, like, you know, being the country that can go, hey, everyone, this is what we're going to do. That's definitely in jeopardy, but I think that can change with new leadership.
So has America peaked? You didn't really give a yes or no.
It appears that it has peaked currently. It depends if things can turn around. And I think it can with new leadership.
There are peaks and valleys. Perhaps we're in a valley or on our way to a valley and we will peak again.
Yeah, yeah. We're also in a very volatile. Here's the question: is how steep are we? Is the valley right now? Is the real question. You know what I mean? That's the real question. How steep is the valley?
Oh, hey, I have the definition of July 4th that I should have said earlier. July 4th, or Independence Day, marks the day in 1776 when the United States adopted the Declaration of Independence and formally broke away from the United Kingdom. It's become a national holiday commemorating freedom, identity, and the ongoing experiment of democracy, usually celebrated through cookouts, fireworks, parades, and family gatherings. And I think that word is so perfect. This country has often been referred to as the American experiment, just like we're like all little molecules in this test tube of democracy. And we happen to be watching a little series called The American Experiment, produced by Tom Hanks, with my daughter, who, as I mentioned, is very interested in history, the
History.
American Revolution. She's the reason I have this wig, because from her death party, the Thomas Jefferson death party. And what's so interesting about this documentary, I mean, it's a lot of stuff you learned in high school history class, but it's told through really well shot recreation because it's on Netflix and it's produced by Tom Hanks. And they got all the biggies from what you'd call both sides. You've got Hillary Clinton, you've got Al Gore, you've got a bunch of historians who people probably don't know, but you're like, oh, I remember you from CNN. You've got, ready for it, Ted Cruz, Mike Pence. Mike Pence, by the way, really positions himself as a hero just for certifying Joe Biden's win in 2020. Because,
Turns out you can be worse, which
yeah,
is
it's like,
phenomenal.
he's like, I really had a duty to this country. And it's like, then they cut to the footage of everyone going, hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the least you could do was not throw our country into complete upheaval just to appease some diaper wearing blonde man who decided, okay, you can ride with me for a few years.
Can't believe you got away with it. You know what? I want to retract my old statement.
Okay.
I think we are in a decline because no matter what, you're going to have half the population still drinking that Kool-Aid. And the hope is it'll all end because their current Messiah is gone. I don't know. You
Well, let
know?
me ask you a question then. If we're, if, and these are your words, or I'm interpreting your words, America has peaked. If America
Mhm.
peaked, and I'll say America, I think, peaked in high school, if that's the case, what's there to celebrate on July 4th? Are we just kind of like playing violins on the Titanic? I mean, I guess it's like, yeah, we're alive now. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's have some hot dogs.
You know what? Here's the other thing too. Maybe the idea of like America peaking is also kind of like a one eye open view of things anyways. You know? Like I think you know what's funny? You want to talk about history? I had a friend of mine who's, you know, pretty what was a smart guy, right? And you know what he told me? He's like, you know who won World War II? Most people say like, well, we won, right? He said, no, the Soviet Union won. The Soviet Union won World War II. And he had, you know, a far more interesting, he actually had an answer to it. But what's funny is we just jettisoned into the Cold War, you know, and then, you know, one could say America peaked because, oh, well, communism failed. And I'm like, well, I think Vladimir Putin just hit the reset button and, you know, he still has all his nukes. So it really depends on how you kind of view things, you know, and I don't, and the perspective you're in. So I don't know, you know, like, I'll just say this. I am happy that I can go to my backyard over there and consider lighting a combustible fire and possibly out cancering your air fryer hot dogs with my hot dogs over briquettes. Yeah,
It's
you know, you long
cancer on
supply world.
cancer. You get the meat itself is very cancery, and
Yeah,
then the way you prepare it adds a little
yeah.
bit of extra different type of flavor of cancer.
It's true. It's like I just think that, I'm gonna turn this cancer up a notch.
Yeah.
And that sounds like America's 250. It sounds like a Kid Rock line from the concert.
10% off Metastasizer Grill. Go get it at Lowe's or Home Depot. The Metastasizer Grill.
When you talk to the generic person and you're like, should I go gas or charcoal? And he goes, well, I mean, are you looking to metastasize or are you looking to just, if you go for, the big green egg, you are going to really ramp it up. I should ask him that. Like, which one of these is better for less cancer? That'll throw him for a loop. I'll go to
Like,
the old,
I'm just making minimum wage. Like,
yeah.
before we keep shitting on it. Which, by the way, is amazing that we live in America and we can shit on it. Do you know if we lived in another country that wasn't a democracy, we probably would be in jail for shitting on our country? How beautiful that we live in a country where we can talk about how imperfect it is, huh? That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. And, like, I can go to the store and get medicine. Like, look, the sad thing is it could be way worse elsewhere. It is way worse
Okay,
elsewhere.
I want to say something else before I forget about America. This is positive. It's your birthday, America. We're going to say some nice things about you. But I always find it interesting when people are, and I know that we're plenty dunking on America in this episode. However, we contain multitudes. But I always find it interesting when people are like, well, you think America's great. You should go to the Nordic countries. I mean, they have universal health care. It's so clean. There's no pollution. Everything's amazing. And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
totally. That sounds awesome. Couple things. Their population is 1 to 2% of ours.
Yeah.
They are a completely homogeneous population. You look around, everybody looks like their brother and sister.
I think the term
And
is ethnostate. It
yeah,
kind of is. I mean, if you
this
really, that's true.
idea, this idea that like 350 million people of the most diverse population in a country in the world, not biggest, not even
Hmm.
the most densely populated, but certainly the most heterogeneous, large country. This idea that like, they can't figure it out. We are a giant experiment. We are whatever you want to call us. Salad bowl, melting pot, just a big old
Buffet.
party. Love a buffet. I love a
We're a
buffet. A
buffet. We're
little
a
bit of
buffet.
everything. Now, this is not to say that we don't have a totally checkered past and present of segregation and inequality. However, we are still next to each other and on top of each other, certainly if you're in an urban area. And I think that is what makes America so complicated and beautiful. And so I'll say, America, you old SOB, happy 250th birthday. You're not perfect. You never will be perfect, but you're always going to keep trying. And that's what I love about you.
The bigger mantra too, it's kind of like being the world's greatest dad. Like, America's what you got. Your family's what you got. It's not perfect, but it's what you got, and how you choose to honor it is on you. And look, it's not all it ain't all sunshine and rainbows, but sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. And it is funny. I think there is and I'll be the first person to be like the guy who's like, oh, I went to here and I went to there. But the idea of ethnostate, the lack of diversity, and how it's really easy to just go on vacation and be like, it was so great, because it's very different to live there and then to understand like what your place is in society because a lot, I feel like a lot of more countries than we realize are in fact so culturally positioned. And there's a hierarchy there. And as a friend of mine described to me, it goes both ways. He described America as a place where you're a unit of productivity, and he described his home country as you're a unit of culture. And there's
Your
certain
mic, your mic is breaking up. Yeah.
my hand was on the I was like, okay, yeah, I was playing with the cord, but yeah, I had a guy who's from a small country in Southeast Asia, but a wealthy one, not a, I'll be blunt, not like, well, Bangladesh has come a long way, but I do come from a world where it's like, oh yeah, we grew up in a cesspool of poverty. Not every other country's like that. Some countries are actually they're doing okay. But he described his country as a place where you're a unit of culture, and he described America as a unit of productivity. And in some countries, like if you're frankly of the right kind of stature, culture, race, if you will, then you're seen to have a kind of like a value, and society kind of, well, frankly, takes care of you. He's a unit of productivity. Basically, it's like this. What do you do? Yeah, yeah, you make a lot of money. Great, done. That's it. But it doesn't, to a degree, you could be almost from anywhere. Even you could be a little minority person, like a white guy from South Africa. And look, you're the richest man on the planet. You know what I mean? Welcome to America. It's the American dream.
And the crazy thing about that guy, who I think you're talking about, Elon Musk, he started with nothing. He basically came over here. He had like no connections, no trust fund. It's amazing, honestly,
Yeah.
that he even survived. So, I mean, that's the American success story, is to be able to come over here from another country like South Africa with a measly couple 100 million,
Yeah,
not
totally.
barely, and
Yeah.
then kind of force your way into different companies to become the world's first trillionaire. It really is the most American story.
And then I think what's really amazing is that he is positioning his many children to come up the same way by not giving them anything and going, listen, if I can do it without any help, so can
Sure.
you. And
Yeah.
now I'll
Well,
have
I think
17
that's
children.
intentional. I think that he's intentionally not giving them love, affection, attention, guidance, so that they can kind of develop a thick skin and resentment that will drive them in the same way that his own mental defects have driven him to become the world's first trillionaire. So I think it's a really beautiful, beautiful thing.
Emphasis on, we'll just put a highlighter on the old mental defects there too.
All
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
back to
yeah.
the 4th. May the 4th be with you. July 4th, not May 4th, which is Ali's birthday. Okay, let's talk about grills. We've kind of alluded to it. What are you cooking on July 4th, Mr. Khan?
My God, it's funny? This July 4th has completely snuck up on us. We have no plans, no great grilling ambitions. I will tell you this though. We currently are there's a heat dome happening in
Yeah.
Austin, Texas right now. I guess, it's crazy is how you get weather now. And it's such a like, I mean, did you ever grow up? Do you remember going, oh, the Sahara winds are here, Neil? Stay indoors. The Sahara winds are now in Austin, Texas. So literally, these like dirt winds come all the
We grew
way.
up in New Jersey in the 90s. We had nothing. It
I
was
know
just,
that's what I was saying, but I'm saying now
oh, we had a few
the phone,
blizzards. Yeah.
yeah, the phone tells me this. The phone tells me this. So technology, meteorologists have come a long way. So it's hot as freaking get out. And I've learned this probably in the first 5 summers of living in Austin, Texas, that grilling season actually isn't where it normally is for the rest of the country. So I'm probably going to do something that involves very limited exposure outdoors. Honestly, like I've been I've been really craving BLTs lately because the tomatoes are pretty good right now. So who knows? It might be the opposite of a big grill fest just because it's pretty damn hot outside. Potato
Really?
salad sounds good. I want to eat cold food. Anything cold sounds delicious. What about you, Neil? I feel like this is a time where you kind of venture out. You leave the apartment. Maybe you find somebody with a grill. You do the New York
Yes.
City thing. Yeah.
We're going to be on a friend's roof grilling. Well, they will be grilling for us, and we're going to be on a friend's roof. We will watch fireworks from the roof, and it will be lovely.
I remember when we lived in LA and we lived, in a similar, we lived in a loft building and we would go up to the roof because that's also where the grill was. And we were basically in the middle of LA. So you could see fireworks from far away all over, like from South Bay to the West Side, because a lot of them are launched, by the beach communities will do big launches, and it was actually really rad. Here, I don't think it's weird. It's like trick or treating. Like that magical era has long since been in our rear view of like, hey Heath, let's go check out fireworks. That's totally not happening. Actually, you know what we're probably going to be doing? Watching World Cup because we have had massive World Cup fever. Heath's even been watching it too. He mostly just likes to watch clips on YouTube, but I've actually gotten him to watch some of the games because the games have been prolific right now. So you know what we're doing for the 4th of July? Watching World Cup. Is that
We were
douchey?
watching some of the France game yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
You know
Wait,
France? You've heard of France?
Fran?
France, by the way, as evidenced in history books and also this Tom Hanks. It sounds like I'm working for Tom Hanks. I'm not. It's very on the brain. France really hooked us up. Like America, so what happened was America was in really bad shape. We were like losing this war to these very wealthy Brits who we were trying to get a divorce from, secede from, kind of legally separate, if we're like
Yeah.
a child actor going like, you stole all our money, mom. Like it was supposed to go in that trust,
The trust fund.
yeah. And so we're doing that and we're having a hard time. France steps in, is like, we got you. We're going to give you resources, military, money. Why would they do that? Because they hated the Brits even more than Americans did, or whatever Americans were, the colonists, right? Like, so it's also interesting, colonizer is such a loaded word, and people are like, oh, you colonizer. It's like, that's kind of what we were, right? Like, that's why we're all here, because we colonized America and, intentionally and in some cases unintentionally slaughtered many, many, many Native Americans. And we're like, this is ours now.
Yeah.
This belongs to us. That is also part of the American story, which, depending on where you live in this great country, you may or may not learn about. I don't know if they teach that in Texas. I don't know if they teach how Native Americans were slaughtered. We learned it in New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, I shudder to think what they teach in class school here. I do know that for a long time they teach Texas history. So Texas before it became part of America, which I think further pushes this idea that we are Texans first beyond Americans, which is kind of crazy. I know the Bible verses are that's in. That's the Bible. Yeah, they read the commandment stuff here now. That law got passed. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What's crazy is this is what's funny is that Heath is going to start to go to public school, right? He's going to go to high school. The irony is the place where he had the best shot of not having kind of a Christian nationalist agenda being forced down his throat was at a religious school that happened to be Christian, but they didn't have that kind of agenda because the positioning of the school would be probably considered far more too woke for the politicians
Because
who.
that school, tell me if I'm getting this right, is more about like, how do we get you into an Ivy League? How do we get you set up for, to be like a Fortune 500 CEO? Not like, how do we, make you on the evangelical track to become Supreme Court justice to overturn
And to
more.
be fair, you kind of bring up a whole other element because, like, and I didn't, I'll be honest, I was pretty nervous when this whole thing started. And I learned a little bit about the Episcopalian Church, and there are certainly, like, religion, there are definite versions, if you will, and kind of a different set of rules of practicing. I mean, there's belief, and then there's okay. This is how we're actually going to play the game. This is how the game's played, Neil. Just huddle up for a second. We don't really do this stuff. We do this stuff. You know what I mean? And I found that school was a little bit more welcoming. They'll have female priests and things like that. They have talks with the LGBTQ community. Things like that maybe wouldn't fly in other versions of a certain faith. All riveting stuff for 4th of July. But, let's remember
So
this.
back to the holiday, what really matters, not history. Get out of here. What's the most essential July 4th food, in your opinion?
Man, I'll just say it. I want copious amounts of backyard burger. To me, it's like,
Burger.
yeah, man.
Do you think burger trumps hot dog on July 4th?
For me, a hot dog is an accessory, called an appetizer, if you will. I like hot dogs, but it's never going to be the main event. If I was like, hey, Neil, or even last night for dinner, Heath was like, "Hey, what do we have for dinner?" I'm like, "Hot dogs." By the way, we have some good hot dogs. I have Old World Frankfurters. They have natural casing. Imagine like the taste of a Hebrew National, but with the snap of like a Sabretz. It's a good hot dog. If you were to say you could have two of those for dinner, I'd be like, okay, it feels like lunch. It feels like a snack. I like hot dogs, but it's not the main event for me. So I got to have a burger. A burger over a hot dog. But
Feel
I'll
you.
take a hot dog. I like them.
It's a little interesting that you think burgers are more July 4th than hot dogs.
I mean, I think, you know what I think is July 4th? All of the above. All of the above. I think it's hot dogs and I think it's overeating. I think it's heart disease. It's obesity. It's cancer. That's 4th of July to me. Yeah. You know? And
Well,
obviously
on that optimistic note, let's move on to American movies.
mm,
And I want to ask you, what is the quintessential American movie to watch on the 4th of July? And I've got a few options for you. I made a little list to make it easier for you. Independence Day,
duh. I mean, he stole my thunder. Fine.
Born on the 4th of July,
These were literally, I was going to start with Born on the 4th of July just so people could be like, they'll watch it. But it's funny. People will take what they want from it. You and I will be like, oh, Ron Kovac, he went to the war and he spoke out against it. But other people will be like, what's cool is like that scene where everyone was getting shot up. Pfft, yeah. Like it's weird. It's weird that it doesn't always go that way. Give me some more. Give me some more. Because those are my front runners.
Idiocracy,
I haven't seen that. Hmm. I haven't seen it. Okay. Okay. Okay.
National Treasure,
Okay. I'll have to. I know of it. All right. Nick Cage. Got it. Okay.
and Jaws.
Jaws. That's a
What's
good
the
one.
July 4th? What is the quintessential July 4th movie? I will run them down again. Ali Khan, which of these is the quintessential July 4th movie? Independence Day, Born on the 4th of July, Idiocracy, National Treasure, or Jaws?
Whew. Quintessential? I'm going to say Independence Day. I think it's Independence Day. It's because I want it to be. Born on the 4th of it's what's funny is like you have some of these movies are like, okay, we're gonna take events surrounding the 4th of July, use 4th of July in some way. But Born on the 4th of July is really has not, and Jaws actually does take an idea of the holiday, but then it really turns it on its side. Yeah. Yeah. You ever see Jaws 3? That was a pretty bad one. There was some really
No.
those sequels were quite awful.
Confession time, I've never seen any Jaws. Also, I do very much enjoy the Back to the Future 2 joke where they're in the future and they see like Jaws 19 on the movie theater awning. So, yeah.
The good old days when movies could never stop being movies. Then they stopped. They stopped.
All right, so we've established that Independence Day is the quintessential July 4th American movie watching
Yeah.
experience. Now, let's move back to the whole real purpose of July 4th, which was to declare our independence from this oppressive government known as the United Kingdom, the Brits. We said we're writing this document. This is kind of like our little treatise, our little FU letter, like, we're leaving you. If dads had our own Declaration of Independence, what would be in it?
I don't know, man. I feel like that's a Declaration of Independence for dads is like, dear family, I'm leaving. Goodbye. I don't really understand the nature of this. You know what I mean? It feels
Left
like
for milk. Be back soon. Never returns.
BRB. And that's the last I ever saw of
Yeah.
him.
You wrote
Cut
us a
25 years later. Ding dong. I'm your father. Is that the premise of This Is Us? I think so.
Not quite. It's more like I'm your son. I don't know. We have to have Sterling K. Brown on, and he can tell us a lot more about it.
All
So,
right, that's a good segue. Next episode, Sterling K.
hey
Brown.
everybody, stay tuned. I keep getting recommended Sterling K. Brown to be my friend on Facebook. I haven't friended him, but yeah,
I mean,
because you guys are
he's got
friends.
one of those profiles where it's like this picture is 20 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I would think it was fake if he wasn't connected to you. I'd be like, oh, this is someone who just made a
Yeah,
fake profile for Sterling K. Brown. It's just like him and his wife, like very
yeah,
like old photo.
totally. Yeah, it's literally like I'm like, bro,
I guess he's just not spending a lot of time on Facebook these days.
so weird. It's like, what is he doing? I mean,
I know, like, what's he
just
been up to? Yeah,
doesn't he have a phone? I don't think he has a smartphone.
yeah, he might not.
Okay, so what a declaration of independence. I mean, see, I really, you go first, and then I'll do my crappier version because I just can't get my head wrapped around it. It feels like a Dear John letter to your
I
family.
was thinking more just like dads deserve the freedom to sit in the bathroom on their phones for however long they want. Dads deserve a nap every once in a while. Dads deserve to grill without being interrupted. Like silly things like this.
I see. So it's kind of like a soft pitch for like it's like a bachelor party for one. Like it's like let me be in the. You know what? Okay, yeah, it is. It does turn into like the old dad joke of like, all right, I get to have this toilet for the day. This is my toilet. You know what I mean? Like I call dibs on this one bathroom for the day. If you have multiple toilets, all right. I
All
mean,
right, let's talk fireworks real quick. So,
yeah.
when's the first time you took Heath to see fireworks? Do you remember?
It was, I mean, when I think about that time in downtown, he was probably one and change, you know? No, not even. Was he? Jesus, he was like, this is like the 6 month old era. Yeah, like, I think we would just go up to the roof. I mean, what's kind of crazy is we moved here by 3. I mean, we didn't there's no fireworks aren't really like something we go out for here. It's really weird. I wonder too, there were times where we'd actually be in Philadelphia. We'd be at the beach, but yeah, it's kind of weird. It's a bit absent. I can tell you epic trick-or-treating stories, but yeah, not a lot of fireworks stuff happening here. It sounds like it's a huge thing in New York City. You probably have a
Yeah, I mean, they've got the Macy's fireworks and then just kind of independent fireworks all over. I mean, the crazy thing about New York is you go to sleep, you know, 10, 11 o'clock, and you just hear fireworks for hours outside your apartment. People are just lighting them off all night. So we can look forward to that. I'm a good sleeper, so it won't bother me. My wife, not as much. We also don't have a dog. I know fireworks like really bothers dogs.
Honestly, that's exactly what I always think about is especially our old dog was like older and like it was quite traumatic. Like it's really bad, like because our dogs, the dog's a dog, usually they're happy, right? And then they look like they're just a refugee from a war, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
really bad.
Which is appropriate for July 4th, since America is fond of funding and participating in many unnecessary wars.
You know what's funny? I thought you were going to go the other way, going, we welcome refugees. Come on in.
Yeah, we do that too. I mean, we used to do that a lot more.
We did. I had you know what? I will say this to be positive because I feel like, it's kind of like, oh, America. I was in Norway. It rocks. It's so great. There's no trash. I got
Yeah.
Tylenol for free. It was
It's
awesome.
only
Everyone's white
500,000 people and everybody's white and they all ride
white and
bikes.
blonde. They don't have
Okay.
Nazis there. They didn't look at me weird. But there was, on a positive note, and this wasn't around 4th of July, but I thought it was in the American spirit, if you will. There was a thing, sadly it closed, called Austin Refugee Services. And the idea was when you had refugees that would come in, you would help them with like, oh, welcome to America. We'll drop off some food or whatever. And there was a service, and this was, oof, geez. God, I almost want to say it was before the pandemic, but we'll call it like 5 years ago or whatever. And we went to the airport, and basically the person who was coming with their family, They were an interpreter for American forces in Afghanistan, and the person and his family all received refugee status. So we helped collect them from the airport. That was like what we did. I remember like talking to a person at the airline, and I was like, "Yeah, we just do this thing. It's like Austin Refugee Services." And this woman looked at me, and she's like, "That is very kind of you to do." So there was like the guy, and then he was just I mean, it's kind of crazy when I think about it because at the time you're like, okay, this is the dad. Great, here are your kids. We'll get your bags. We'll get you into the car or whatever. But now I realize, like, these people like escaped with their lives. You know what I mean? Like, they literally got to the end of the journey. Like, I know what it's like when you have a flight delay, and I'm grateful to
Yeah,
be home.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I
this
mean,
was
talk
like,
about honestly, I'm glad you shared that because talk about perspective. It's like we can complain, and we should. We should scream from the rooftops about every little annoyance and big annoyance, such as not having the fundamental rights we deserve, and America not being as livable as it should, and not creating opportunity, for all Americans equally. All of those things. However, thinking about those people that you helped and just any refugee and anyone who does literally fight for their life to survive, to just arrive here, it's so incredible. They don't have that chip on their shoulder, a lot of them, I imagine, that a lot of us do who were born here, who have that birthright citizenship, who go, I'm owed this, I'm owed. And what an amazing thing to be able to appreciate America from the outside as someone who hasn't grown up here, who wasn't born here, almost more than people who just, this is all we know. So that's a really beautiful thing.
yeah, it was so funny too because it was literally like honestly from what I did was like kind of like an errand. It's like, oh, I'll pick you up from the airport. No big deal. No, literally that's what it was. And we collect these people and that was it. It was just logistically you're like, okay, here are all the people. Hey, welcome. We're just helping you out. Let me get your bags. But then to think about how meaningful the bigger story that happened there and how it was like no big deal for us to do that. It's amazing that that could all happen, that it was so easy for me to do, and then for this other person it was straight up like Lone Survivor. You know what I mean? It literally was. I mean, he was an interpreter. He didn't actually pull the guy out. Let's be honest, some of those scenes from Lone Survivor were great movie. I enjoyed it a lot. The guy's a little, in real life, heck, even Wahlberg in real life, that's a lot I'm not endorsing Mark Wahlberg or the person
Yeah.
in all
Let's talk
aspects.
about more problematic white men who've basically done terrible things and suffered no consequences. You mentioned Mel Gibson, Mark Wahlberg. Who else we got? You want to throw Kevin Spacey in there? Who do
The
we got?
rest of the cast was pretty, I mean, it was a good cast. It was a good cast. It was a good cast. But
Ooh, you
I
know what
think
we
it
should
was,
talk about? Only because it's topical, and I don't want to forget. I don't want to lose steam on this. Did you see that Bill Maher won the Mark Twain Prize for comedy?
man, I saw Bill Maher quote give it to JD Vance and I'm like, dude, I would like to see the way he did that line. I wish I could see Bill Maher do that to Bill Maher because he deserves it.
Give it to him. He said he would vote for him. He's just like Bill Maher was basically just like, it's not really. I don't really like how you guys are, try to rig elections. Like you should stop that. That part I don't like that. But I'll vote for you because the woke. I don't like the woke and trans. I don't like it. I'm Bill Maher.
He's a real. You know what? Let's send that guy to Afghanistan. Well, that's mean. That's not right.
Ooh. Yeah. How about we help the people of Afghanistan instead of make things worse for them by sending Bill Maher there? That's
Yeah,
terrible.
you know what? He can get the Mark Twain Prize in Kabul.
He would just torture them. Like the Afghan people would be like, you know what? I think we'd rather live under oppressive regime than I don't want to listen to this smug boomer anymore. He doesn't really have much insightful commentary here.
He is so
I'm
smug.
good. Yeah,
You
suicide
know,
rate.
I was gonna try and put a pretty bow on it because to go back, I think the whole heart of this episode is has America peaked? You know what my new answer is? First, I said it's hard to say. It's very fluid times, and I said yes, it has. You know what the real answer is? Honestly, after thinking about that little thing about the interpreter for Afghanistan, I sure hope it hasn't. I sure hope it hasn't because in the grand scheme of things, like the fact that you and I are have been jettisoned together from different backgrounds in a very chill, seamless way is the beauty of America. You know, and yeah, we could sit there and poke fun and reference movies and be snarky, but we don't really have to worry yet for the secret police to come and get us.
You're covering the mic again.
Wait, no, oh no, my hands are off of it. This is weird. Maybe I have bad chords. No, no, these are the good chords.
Go back to Bill Maher for a sec. So he was given the Mark Twain Prize at the Kennedy Center. Trump didn't show up. Fine. But we all know he got it because Trump, he's like the only comedian, and I say comedian in quotes, that Trump can stomach. So who presented him with the award? You got the known predator Louis C.K., the blowhard Stephen A. Smith, the what happened to her Whitney Cummings, because she's gone off the deep end. She used to be kind of funny and thoughtful, and now is just like a right wing anti vaxxer. And then Matt Friend for some reason, because I guess he'll just go anywhere Ted Saran wants him to go. I mean,
Someone
talk about. I think Matt Friend might be like the next Jimmy Fallon. He's just like, oh my God, you guys, like, I heard like terrible things were happening. You want me to do a cool impression? Let's play a game.
It is Fallon. You know what? That I mean, the funny thing is kind of like, yeah, Fallon. Yeah, just whatever. Yeah, that's been brewing in you for a minute, huh? Jimmy Fallon. Yeah,
Oh,
Jimmy.
Jimmy Fallon, he had Conor McGregor on. Did you see that? That was a great interview.
Mm, no,
Yeah, he was like, it was really fun because he was just like, so I know that you were convicted of sexual assault. Like, what was that like?
I like Conor McGregor when he came out. He came to the White House and he delivered a press conference. I felt like from the White House, and he just like ripped up Ireland. He was like, Ireland. Yeah, he just that's what he did. Put that clip up. I know it's crazy, Conor McGregor.
Yeah, he's
Not gonna lie, I've watched a few. I put money in his pocket watching those fights. I really have.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, look, if it entertains you to watch him hit people and get hit, I understand we
I
all
mean, it
get
was
paid.
Floyd Mayweather, so believe me, he took it. I mean, it was pretty. That one, not gonna lie, if they did that one again, he'd get my money. And that's the beauty of America on 250. I'll probably put more money in Conor McGregor's
All
pocket.
right, so terrible dads, Mel Gibson, Mark Wahlberg, Conor McGregor. Let's get back to forefathers who also did terrible things. I mean, that's the funny thing is they wrote this whole thing about all men are created equal, and if they looked at the America today, they'd be like, we said men. We said all men were created equal. What are
Yeah,
you doing?
yeah,
What are
yeah,
you
yeah,
doing?
yeah,
Like Amy Coney Barrett, like, thinks she's such a hot shot, she's like, oh, I'm gonna enforce Christian values. The founding fathers would be like, why is there a woman who was allowed to become a lawyer who's
yeah,
in the highest court? They would think that's crazy. All
yeah,
right. So,
yeah.
what else would the founding fathers think is crazy in America? I'm going to go through certain things, and you tell me what you think the founding fathers would think about these modern
Okay.
American phenomenon. What would the founding fathers think about food delivery services?
Yeah, I was like, he threw a nice soft one right over the plate. I think Ben Franklin would be. He seemed like he was a man of science. I think he would be really appreciative of it. And I think as soon as they got the food, I mean, the real crazy thing is how they react to what they got. I mean, if they got orange chicken, I think they might just drop dead on the spot. I mean, they might be overloaded with so much flavor, like,
They
you
can't
know.
handle it. You don't think they seasoned their food in the
Have
1700s?
you not been to Colonial Williamsburg? Wow, you are not an American, Neil. I think you are. What is going on with you? The beauty of going to Colonial Williamsburg is that you really get to put yourself in the shoes, in the cobbler's shoes of colonial life. And what I remember very well from going to Colonial Williamsburg, and no, it's not some club in your area of Brooklyn. It's, a recreation of a colonial town. It wasn't just getting the hat with the 3 points on it. which was super cool. It wasn't just the gift shop. But I remember going to the restaurant and it was like, welcome to the Colonial Cafe. Here are your menus. And it was like soup, bread, and then like I think they had a roast beef sandwich because I think they were like, listen, we have to give them something. We can't really stick to what it was. And I think there's a show on PBS. This is going to be a great clip called The Colonial Kitchen. And they show like foods in the colonial era. Things were not good. You know, things were not good. It was tough times over there.
So, survey says for founding fathers would be initially excited and then incredibly disturbed and put off by food delivery service. They wouldn't be able to handle it.
I think the menu would perplex them. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I think the bigger problem is them just having to deal with the flavors of the. What, I can imagine George Washington being, "What are these flavors of the Orient, and how were they brought here?"
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like, oh, we flew them. They'd be like, flight. What about the.
Flying Chinese.
Yeah. What would the founding fathers think about AI?
The devil. Yeah, the devil. You know, they would latch on to. They'd either worship it as a god or assume it was the devil. You know. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think they think it would be like a Bible computer to them. You know, like it's like, is this God? They would assume it's God. They'd assume it's God. Yeah, yeah.
What would the founding fathers think about gentle parenting?
Yeah, nah, not good. I mean, I think they would like, you got to remember, they have a sword on them. They have swords on them. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I think they might just like beat up the dad. You know what I mean? They just might, if they saw like gentle parenting, they would attack him, because they're like, they have swords. They have swords and guns and stuff. So I think people would get hurt if they saw gentle parenting. That's my, yeah, yeah, yeah. Would be good.
Fair enough. Your mic again. Here, are you covering it? What's going on?
No, it's lit. It's everything.
All right. All right, Ollie,
Boom.
let's do a thing. So for July 4th, the most American songs ever. I'm going to give you a bunch of songs that you can play on July 4th weekend, and you tell me which is the most American song. All right, which of these is the most American song? Born in the USA, American Pie, Party in the USA, Firework, or Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue?
I don't know the last one, but I feel so strongly, and being a Gen Xer, that it's born in the USA. Or I mean, if you had the Neil Diamond song, that would have been a good one too. You know what I mean? Pretty
Which
on the
one?
nose. Everywhere around the world, they're coming to America. You know what's funny? That is like the antithesis of the current MAGA thinking of immigration. Like that's like why I think they wanted the wall because of Neil Diamond. Yet they probably listened to Neil Diamond. Maybe that's what it was. The whole thing is because of Neil Diamond.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, let's close out this July 4th very special episode with a game we're calling What's More American? Ali Khan, I'm going to give you two items. You have to tell me which is more American. Are you ready to play What's More American?
Yes.
What's more American, baseball or football?
That's tough. That's tough. I hate to say it, but I think, oh, that is so hard because like I feel like baseball has more history, but there's an attitude in football that's so more American. And baseball's a sport in decline. Shoot, it's a toss up, man. I gotta tell you, it's a
More
freaking
American, you need an answer. Baseball or football?
football.
What's more American, hot dog or hamburger?
You know what's funny? They're both German foods. I'm gonna go hot dog.
What's more American, Donald Trump or Barack Obama?
Barack Obama. Yeah, Barack Obama. Barack Obama.
What's more American, pizza or French fries?
It's so funny how all these things are just from elsewhere. I'm actually gonna say French fries. I'm gonna say French fries.
What's more American, ranch or ketchup?
Ketchup. Ketchup, actually. Yeah. I just made some ranch, actually.
What's more American, tax fraud or immigration?
Jesus. These are so damn hard. Immigration.
What's more American, the Chicago Pope or Jeff Bezos?
Sadly, I'm going to say Jeff Bezos. Wait, when you say American, do you mean like as an ideal or a characteristic? You know, that's the one thing. I
I
was
don't
kind
know.
of thinking,
Stupid game we made up. It's what's more American? You know, it's for clicks, man. I don't know. What's
uh,
more American? What's
I
more
said
American? National parks or amusement parks?
amusement parks.
What's more American? Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks?
Dunkin' Donut.
America runs on Dunkin'.
Yeah. And also, it's just like, yeah, donuts, crappy coffee. We like it anyways. I think Starbucks was like, I feel like they were trying to take the idea of like coffee houses of Europe or a level of coffee found in Europe, and it just took off. Whereas Dunkin' is like purely like, this is it. Start cranking them out, brother. You know what I mean? Just like,
I love how you're like, yeah, Dunkin' Donuts is more American because it sucks. You know, because it's
yeah.
shitty
Well,
coffee.
it's just yeah, it's popular and crappy. I do think America is phenomenal at make. So you know what I said Bezos too. It's like America's superpower is making things profitable. You know, Jeff Bezos like I'm gonna make a bunch of money. I mean, you know, it's like that's what he is. It's just unbridled greed. It's the superpower and also creates supervillains. You know.
So that's what makes Bezos so American is his willingness to do anything possible to make a dollar.
Well, you know, it's just like where else can you make this much money? You know, and the thing with Trump is like you could see Trump's in other places. Very hard. Where else can you have a Barack Obama? Where else could you create a Barack Obama except here? That seems singular. Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
let's keep playing. What's more American, Bruce Springsteen or Willie Nelson?
man. God, these are. Why are you are racking my damn brain? I'm really. It's a freaking toss up. I mean, I'm gonna say Springsteen because I like Springsteen more. But Willie's right up there. Sadly, I don't know. I also live in Texas and they love them some Willie Nelson. And like, yeah, so I'm so surrounded by Willie fans that shit, I don't know. That's I mean, I'll just say it. What can you say? It's a freaking toss up. I'm going for Springsteen because I like Springsteen more.
You said Bruce.
I said
What's
Bruce.
more American, road trips or cruises?
I want to say road trip. I'm gonna say road trip actually, and that's a superpowered America. A cruise kind of implies you're actually leaving America. How about them apples?
You can cruise within
Taking it.
America, maybe. I think. No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What's more American, Walmart or Costco?
I just this is absurd. I'm just gonna say Costco, but it's literally you're that's insane. It's like, whoa, what's more American, gray or silver? I'm like, I don't know. It's the same thing basically. One shinier. I went for the shinier one, Costco. Costco. I'll just say Costco. It's cooler than Walmart.
What's more American, cowboy boots or Jordans?
Jordans. Jordans. Actually. Cowboy boots are very American, but they're not exclusive to America. There are cowboys in other parts of the world. Jordans are purely American. Again, you know what? When it's close like this, just the answer comes down to money. Jordans. Did you see the movie with Matt Damon?
No, I would like to.
It's a good one. You should watch it.
I want to.
Watch it on 4th of July.
Your
Yeah.
reason you left Ben Affleck out of that? I believe they have co-billing.
He was, yeah, you're right. But not really. I mean, yeah, he got co-billing, but it was all Matt Damon. Matt Damon was it was him. It was him. I mean, he was the guy. He was the guy. Yeah.
What's more American, George Washington or Abraham Lincoln?
You know what? I'm going to say Abraham Lincoln. Because George Washington, like, it's tough. I was like, he kind of became an American. I think, yeah, I mean, like, you know what? George Washington wasn't born an American, but Abraham Lincoln was. I'm going with birthright citizenship.
Okay. Abraham
Hot
Lincoln
take.
for America.
Yeah,
What's more American, bald eagle or American bison?
bald eagle. You know, Bald eagle.
And finally, what's more American? Tesla Cybertruck or a Ford F-150?
Ooh, wow. Ford F-150. Ford F-150. Yeah, both funded by Nazis.
We'll leave it there. Happy 4th of July, everyone.
Wow, we are. I am a communist. No, I'm just a dissident. There was no Zoran Mamdani references. That's too bad.